I'm still stuck on the 3 million.
California did take a lot of taxes though, so
Oh, you in Cali?
yeah.
You might as well move to Florida, man, like everybody else.
That's what he was talking about. I've been thinking about going to like Texas.
Okay. You'll save on taxes there as well.
Yeah.
What part of Texas would you go to?
I don't know. Either I've seen a lot of people going to Dallas. I heard about Houston. Anything is better than California. I mean, we own our home in California, so what I would probably do is just keep the California home and try to position something to be in Texas because it's so much cheaper. It's like half the price of our house in California.
Yeah.
So, and then we also do a lot of stuff in Michigan. There's some nice stuff in Michigan if you go out to the suburbs, surrounding Detroit. So I don't know. I'm just looking. So let's get into it. I'm gonna kick off the intro and I'll just start breaking down these questions. So
okay.
This is the Millionaire Talk Show. My name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Todd Millionaire, founder and director of the Todd Capital Investment Club. Thank you guys all for tuning in. The purpose of this podcast is to share the stories of successful African-American business owners and investors. We want people to see that there are examples of success because if you see it, you can be it. Today, we have a special guest, the Mathis brothers. They are serial entrepreneurs. They are in the Miami, Florida area. They built and sold a dental cleaning business. And since then, they've done over 400 real estate transactions. And they're building a Airbnb portfolio. So these brothers are crushing it. They're identical twins. And you guys are definitely in for a treat. So welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, thank you so much for having us. Man, thank you so much for having us. I'm excited about this, man. Thank you so much, man. We really appreciate, you having us on to share our story with your audience. Thank you so much.
So the first question I always ask people is, who are you and where are you from?
So I'm Joshua Mathis. I'm Jeremy Mathis, and we're the MathisTwins, born and raised in Miami, Florida, to a single mom. Everything we have, we work for.
That's dope. What was life like growing up for you? I know I got a little bit in the intro, but let's talk about that a little bit.
For us, man, it was really, really tough. Like I told you in the before we started shooting, born and raised in the hood in Miami, Florida, the part that you don't want to walk through. The part that is on First 48 all the time. Our father went to prison when we were 4. He got out when we were 22. So my mom was a single mother of 5 kids. She worked 2 jobs. So she was never around, more so because she had to work to provide for us. So we kind of raised ourselves. But my mom gave us 2 rules. You got to make all A's and B's on your report card. And I don't want the police to ever bring you home. So other than that, hey, we just had to figure it out. It was cool because my mom, we got our work ethic from her without knowing. She always worked 23-hour days. So 8 to 12 hours at the post office. And then she had a hair business on the side. So just through osmosis, we would see her work hard and we was able to take that work ethic to build what we have now. So, but growing up, like my brother said, it was tough. Nights without eating, sometimes without light, sometimes without water. Sometimes having to take the water hose from the outside, fill up buckets because the shower was broke and put water in the tub to take a bath. It was tough, but looking back, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was a cool experience growing up because now I can figure out anything.
Yeah. You guys, what did you do after high school? What did that look like for you? So thankfully, and I say this, thankfully, we both were playing football in high school. We had scholarship offers to go play, but I ended up getting hurt. I messed up my knee and my ankle, and all those scholarship offers got wiped away. And we didn't know what we wanted to do, but thankfully we had a mentor in our life, and he was like, "Guys, you got to go to college." So after high school, he kind of forced us to go to college, which we're thankful for, because like I said earlier, we got exposed even more while we were in college to just a different lifestyle, different opportunities. So we ended up going to college, and while we were in college, we started our first business in college. We took $20,000 of student loans and opened up our life savings. Yeah, some of our life savings, and used that to start a t-shirt design company. So people could go online and design their own t-shirts, and we would print it to them. And that business completely failed. $20,000 down the drain. Because the idea seemed cool, but then when you really start looking at data and looking at the market, people are lazy. Nobody wants to really go online and design a shirt that they will. So he didn't explain the business the right way. You could go onto our website, you can design whatever you wanted to, and we would ship it to you.
like you said, once we realized that people wasn't into design, or if they did design, they didn't want to design. After sinking 20,000 into the business, we decided to pivot, and then we started doing a promotional marketing company where we would do promotional marketing for organizations on campus, and we was doing okay with that business. And then we found a mentor who really changed our lives, and we stopped doing promotional marketing to start a dental cleaning company. We grew and sold that business within 18 months. And then we started doing real estate investing 6 years ago. Since then, as you know, we've completed over 400 transactions, building a nice portfolio, ground up development, doing a really cool stuff in real estate.
It's man, there's a lot to unpack. So we're gonna go slow. I don't want to miss anything, because we talked about before the show about how you were exposed to certain things and that changed your life. Can we talk about that? But also, I really want to know how you guys even got interested in business at that age. Maybe those two go hand in hand a little bit.
I think our whole life, we've been lifelong entrepreneurs, and I think it's in our blood as well. Our dad was an entrepreneur, whether it was legally or illegally, and my grandfather was an entrepreneur as well. So I guess it's kind of in our bloodstream. Our first business we were 8 years old. We would go knock on our neighbors' doors, and they would pay us to take their trash out. So we'd take their trash out, and then once the trash man comes and pick it up, we'll take the trash back in. So $2 to take it out and $2 to take it back in. So that was our first venture. And then from there,
I was able to buy all the girls bubblegum on my little business then.
So yeah, we like I said, that was our first venture. So we've always been entrepreneurs. We've never had a 9-to-5 job, and it was just for us, we just knew we always wanted to set our own path, set our own legacy. And I never wanted somebody to tell me what to do, when to do it, and how to do it.
Well, we did have 9-to-5. It was in college though, but it's like little college jobs, nothing too serious while we was running our business on the side. But like my brother said, we never, fortunately for us, fortunately, unfortunately, we never have worked in a 9-to-5. And I can't even imagine doing that. As an entrepreneur, you chart your own course, do your own thing. So
so you went to, when you're in 17, I know you went to a private school. What did you see there, and how did that inspire you to kind of change the trajectory of your life?
Man, that was really life-changing for us. So just to catch everybody up, we grew up in the hood. We went to schools in the hood, and then our senior year, we transferred to this very wealthy school, like where the 1% send their kids. So you talking about culture shock, true culture shock. We show up to school on the first day wearing Timbs, and they're like, what y'all doing? But luckily for us, we was able to make some great friends there. And one of the things that we've learned this through life is exposure leads to expansion. I didn't know this at the time, but we were being exposed to things that was just like wow to kids from the hood. We're talking about going to people's house, and they house 5, 10, 15,000 square feet. They got maids. They got the on cribs when you had the big remote control that control the whole house. Like they had that in their house. So we go to their house and we playing with that. We asking them like, guys, like, how did you, like, what do your parents do? Oh, my dad owns this company, or they work for this company. And that led us to realize like, dang, we really don't have to play sports to make money. We can really be businessmen and do big business. And one thing that our mentor taught us was your brain will take you further than your legs. And once we understood that concept, it was like, aside from my brother getting hurt in football and us not being able to get the test scores that we needed to get into college, it was like, man, forget that. We can just go to college and do business. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that kind of was.
I think you did.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is, it seems, and I might be wrong, but that one bit of exposure changed the entire trajectory of your life.
Big time. I gotta credit my mom to that. She's a visionary, because the real reason why we left the school, because 2 months before she decided to say, hey, this is it, every other day one of our friends were getting shot or killed. And she was like, look, I cannot lose you guys to the streets. My neighbor knew the head football coach at that school. So that's how we was able to get access to the school, through football and financial aid. But it was complete culture shock for us. But more importantly, it was the exposure of being there, seeing kids driving BMWs, Audis, Escalades in high school. My mom couldn't even afford this car. You driving this in high school. And then you start getting around them, you start asking questions, and then you start understanding like, wow,
Because what's perpetuated in the Black communities, you got to be a rapper or athlete. Obviously, that was the story before social media got to what it is now. I think social media has helped us understand that we can be big business people, and we can do well in real estate and the stock market. But when we was in high school, it was rapper, athlete. That's how you made it out,
or drug dealer,
or drug dealer. And seeing what these kids had and what they was able to do was like, dang, we can do the same thing. Because I know one thing about growing up in the hood, we gonna always bet on ourselves. And if I can see you do it, like you just said at the beginning of your intro, if you can do it, I can do it as well. Yeah. So once we saw that, it's like, damn, they can be big businessmen, we can too.
Yeah. The connections that you made there, how important were those? Because I think the network that you're gonna get at a school like that is powerful. What is that like?
It was about another thing. So after we got out of after high school, we worked with. So as soon as we got out of high school, we needed a summer job. So my friend, one of our best friends to this day, his dad owned the audio visual. It was a huge company. They were doing like multi-millions a year in sales. And he was like, guys, come work for me. So his dad allowed us to come work for him. But more importantly, his dad we not only like worked in the warehouse, but we was able to sit in on the finance meetings, sit in on the marketing meetings, sit in on him having negotiations with these big time corporations who he was doing business with. So we were being exposed there. And his dad put us on our first airplane. We were 19 years old when we took our first airplane ride to go on a trip to go to one of the hotels who he was doing business with, to go there and help set up. So that was just one relationship and one opportunity. Our dentist today was a guy we met in high school.
Really?
Yes. Cool. One of our attorneys, a friend we met in high school, so a lot of those people that we met, a lot of those friends that we created a relationship with in high school, we're still friends today. In some way or another, we all still work together.
Yeah. What's cool about that, and I was talking about this because I was somebody posted something about like college graduation. So I had to go back and look at my college pictures, and I was looking at like where I was after college, and I graduated into a recession. And so I didn't have a lot of direction. I was just taking different jobs and working here and working there. And I've even done like some odd end jobs with a college degree. And I was like, man, I want my son to either have access to just have a direct path, either through me or to somebody in my network. I don't want him just out there in the world trying to figure it out, being thrown to whoever's going to give him an opportunity or just give him a chance. Like, nah, we already laid this out for you. Yep. We've been talking about this. So it's like, that's why it's important.
But would you just think about, just to that point, you just think about how much further ahead other cultures are because they have that. And you think about how far we have to go just to get to that point. So that's why I definitely love our culture so much, because when I sit back and I really think, they have that uncle that can make that call for them. We ain't got that. We got to go figure it out on our own. And I like where we are right now, because we are building that where we have that uncle that can do that for us, obviously for the next generation. Is what I'm talking about. So I'm very excited to see the next few generations and what happens there in our culture.
So we're gonna shift gears a little bit, because I'm really interested in this cleaning business that you built and sold. So how many ventures did you have from the one that failed to the one that became successful?
We had the failure was the custom clothing line. Then we had the promotional marketing company, and then we started the cleaning company.
Okay.
So help them understand how the cleaning company. Yeah.
So the cleaning company, the way that started was one of our mentors. I had an internship with this guy. I crushed the internship. Like, I did really well, and I helped them start a company that's now that was like 17 years ago. I helped them start a company that's now worth in excess of probably $300 million. So I helped them start it as an intern. It was just me and him. And I did so well, he wanted to hire me. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm an entrepreneur. I want to go do my own thing, blah, blah, blah. So after him trying to recruit me for 7 months, he finally came up with an idea. It was like, hey, let's start a company together. And initially, when he told me about it, he was like, hey, let's start a cleaning company. I'm like, nah, man, I'm not interested. I hung up the phone. He called me back. Man, in that internship, you didn't learn to listen to opportunity and see opportunity. I'm like, man, I don't want to start a cleaning company. He's like, gosh, like, you really need to at least listen to the opportunity. So he told us about the opportunity, and the opportunity was to specialize in cleaning dental and medical offices, and we could charge a premium because we would do more than what the typical cleaning company would do. So we started the company, and we were chugging along. We were doing.
And the reason, just one key part that he missed was the reason we started it in dental and medical, because he had built his businesses in the dental and medical space. So he already had the Rolodex. So he can call the dentist and call the office and say, hey guys, you already using my other services to help your business. Use my cleaning company to help your business as well.
And it was supposed to turn into a franchise. That's really what the long term is. He was a franchise guru. So one thing about him, he was a hands-off investor, hands-off mentor, where we meet. I only want to talk to you guys once a quarter. Other than that, figure it out. Because if I help you too much, it won't be beneficial to you guys. So once a quarter, we were going there, have a strategy, game plan. And then one quarter, we went in, like this was a year into the business, and we were just complaining. And we didn't know, he knew our nature wasn't to ever be complainers, but we were just complaining. And he just said, to his credit, guys, you need to sell the company. Like, what? Sell the company? What are you talking about? Like, because at that, all we had in our mind and what we was working towards was the wrong thing. We was working towards making money and franchising. It wasn't something that we were passionate about. He was like, gosh, you're not passionate about this business. You hate the business. And I'm like, what you mean sell the business? Because when we grew up, all you sell is clothes, shoes, and drugs. Like, what you talking about? He was like, man, sell the business. You guys have created something of value. Somebody will pay you for this. So that opened, again, exposure leads to expansion. That opened our mind up to, man, we could sell this business. We have created value. So essentially, we ended up putting the company on the market, and then we had a decent exit, not what it was supposed to be, because we got a nice size offer. We turned it down, thinking we could get
the numbers.
Okay, so we got a nice size offer in the low 100,000s, right? We think, oh, we can get more. We can get more than that. So we held out to try to get more, but on the side, we had already started doing real estate, and we started to focus on real estate 100% because the cleaning company was kind of self-managing itself. But with us not keeping our eye on the ball, we started losing customers here and there. We started getting a lot of complaints. Yeah. Things started to get bad. But we were so focused on trying to get this real estate company off the ground that it was like, hey, whatever. We did our first real estate deal after being coached by a mentor. We did our first real estate deal within 90 days. We made $19,500.
Net profit.
We called the broker. Listen, bro, you got 1 week to sell this company. We shutting it down. He said, all right, hold on. Let me try to work something out. So we end up going from like low six-figure offer to selling the company for $20,000. But for us, people always ask us, how do we get great real estate deals? You get great deals when there's a motivated seller. We were motivated sellers. We wanted out. We had that $19,500, and if we had proof of concept, we were off and running. We were ready to go. We wanted no parts of the company, no parts of that cleaning company. So,
man, I was gonna ask you how you build a company worth selling, and I'm gonna ask you, how do you build a company worth selling? What's the process for that?
I think the biggest thing is just creating value. You have to create value. So the guy who we sold the company to, he was doing high-end residential. He wanted to get into the commercial space, but he didn't know how to get into the commercial space. So for him, he was already doing, $4.5 million a year doing residential. So instead of trying to figure it out, hey, let me buy something where there's already process in place, there's already customers, there's already a proven model. So for us, we just created that value for him. So for excuse me, I think anything that's for sale, or if you're trying to sell anything, there needs to be value there. So he saw value. One, we were specialized in dental and medical. He saw that we was able to charge more. Two, he saw that we already had the framework on how to do the cleaning. And then for him, like I said, he wanted that commercial aspect to his business. And
so we were a piece to a puzzle he was trying to put together, essentially.
Yep. That's
really what it was. So I guess to answer your question, like my brother said, just like with anything, people buy your courses, people buy other courses because of the value that they think they're going to get. And this guy saw value in our company, and he was able to stroke a check quick. And we probably could have got more than the 20K, but we wanted out. Like, we wanted out bad.
He offered, he was like, when the broker called us, he was like, yo, you guys have an offer for 20K. And we was like, okay, sell it. And he was like, what?
You're not going to count
You're
it?
not going to count it?
Nah,
We said, no, sell it. We want it out. Because we only owed our mentor gave us $5,000 to get it started. So we said, hey, we could give our mentor his money back. We can take the $15K and just figure out this whole real estate thing. So yeah, I didn't want to counter. I just wanted out. We wanted out.
Are you guys interested in buying or building and selling another company, or is that like a one-time thing for you?
No, definitely. So
that's next on our agenda for sure.
Either we buy a company, we grow it and we sell it, or either start something and sell it. So we've been fortunate enough to have a circle of people that buy companies and people that have also had multiple exits, like a lot of exits. And I heard this before. One of the best ways to get wealthy is to have a huge cash event, meaning you sell the company. Because really think about it, if you don't sell a company, how many people really have a company that can produce so much cash flow that they can create real generational wealth? Not many people can do that. But you can create generational wealth when you grow a company and you sell it. So for us, that's definitely on the agenda for us. And in the future, we're 30. We have a decent sized portfolio now, and we have, the way we structured our life, our portfolio is at a level where we can pay ourselves and have money to start another company and have some runway, as opposed to, most people, they start a company and they don't, they got to rely on that company to pay them. We already have that. So for us, I think we did a good thing in doing what we did as far as having this portfolio that can help us fund whatever we want to fund.
What is it like working with your brother? How do you guys keep that tight?
It's the worst, man. It's the worst, man. Especially when you the smart twin and you know everything and you dealing with somebody that don't know nothing.
You've been around people that's all they do is this, right? You see who's doing this, right?
But no, it's we get this question all the time, and it's just like any relationship. It has its ups and it has its downs.
We was about to fight yesterday.
And, bro, we was. Really? I was about to beat him yesterday. I ain't gonna lie. I was finna beat him. My mom called me. She calmed me down. But the great thing about working with my brother is that I know he has my best interest at heart, and I know that we have a relationship. I don't have to ever check the bank account. So that it speaks volumes, especially after we speak to so many people that have partners and hear the horror stories. It's like, I never do that to my brother.
Yeah.
So I would say the only downside to it is he's my brother. And sometimes I talk to him like he's my brother as opposed to my business partner. And it happens in front of employees. So that's something where I'm trying to get better at. But that's really the only downside. It's just that really.
Yeah. I mean, I would say kind of the same thing. Is just the benefit is, one, I know who I'm dealing with. We was in the womb together, So I know his likes, his dislikes. I know his personality. I know what to expect, and then vice versa as well. And even though we're twins, our personalities are completely different, completely different. So we work well together, in that aspect. So, but like any business partner, like any brothers, we fight.
But at the end of the day, we know what the end goal is for the company. Yeah. Thankfully, we've had mentors that helped us realize that business is business, personal is personal. Personal is personal, and the best idea wins, not the biggest ego. And we both understand that. So at one point, it was like, nah, bro, my idea is better than yours. Now it's like, damn, your idea is better. Let's go with that.
And then also the biggest thing too, and this is not just working with your brother. If you have a business partner, you have to create clear roles and responsibilities. Yeah. So for me, I know what I'm responsible for. He knows what he's responsible for. So we divided the company into you're the leader of this part of the company, I'm the leader in this part, and what I say in this part of the company goes. I'm gonna take your invite, your advice, I'm gonna take your input, but if I feel like, hey, this is what we need to do to get to what we're trying to get to, then that's the decision that I'm gonna make.
And we don't always agree, because there's some things that he do. It's like, that's dumb, bro. Why are we doing that? But at the end of the day, that's his responsibility, and he has final say over that.
So when you run into something like that, though, like if you run into something and you're like, that's dumb, why are we doing that? How does it play out? Does it usually play out all right?
We both have had wins. We both have taken, damn, I told you so. We both have had a mixture of both. And we understand that, we both are not always going to be right. We much rather progress than perfection. So we're cool with that. And again, we know we're not always going to be right, because the only perfect person, at least in our mind, is God. So
I think it's cool because if you guys didn't have that relationship, I find that some people would hold that against somebody where I gave you the ability to make a decision and that decision didn't work out. So I don't need you anymore. And we can throw people away that might actually add a lot of value to what we're doing, where just because you have that small disagreement, just because whatever you did didn't work out, now you're throwing away somebody who's a valuable asset to your business.
Yeah.
And I think that having a brother who's always there, no matter what, no matter if you're ready to punch him in the face, is always there. Like a lot of people, we throw away a lot of people. We discount people, dismiss people all the time. And we just treat them like they aren't worth anything. And we don't realize that you can be hurting your long-term success by being that short with people, by thinking that you don't need anybody else. And so it's kind of cool that you have that permanent kind of partner, like a permanent partner. That's kind of dope.
Right.
What is maybe one, I guess, misconception of working with your family that people expect, but it's not true?
That's a good question. One misconception that people think that you can have.
I think that's a tough question to ask because most family members are not twins. Like he said, we shared the womb together. So like I know him, and he knows me. He knows that I get agitated quick and I have zero patience. And I know his attention to detail isn't like my attention to detail. So we just know each other. I think we'll do your audience a disservice by even answering that question.
No, I mean, if I'm just trying to think of like one misconception. Because and our relationship is different. Like a lot of people take the business home with them. We don't take business home. Like yesterday, we was really about to fight. But yesterday I called him and let me speak to my niece, let me speak to my nephew. I'm not calling for you. And then we called and we had a conversation and he was like, oh, look, this is an idea for the Airbnb. I'm like, oh, this is a great idea. So for us, like we've learned to say business is business, personal is personal. And like when we leave this place, he's still my brother. Let's go to dinner. Let's take the family out to dinner. You still didn't answer his question though. You can see in detail. You can see that, right?
I get it.
He said, what was the misconception? The misconception is a lot of times people think they have to take business home with them, and the argument that you had in the office, you need to have it at home. That's not true. To us, that's a misconception. We don't operate like that. Like once we leave this place, it's over. It's over. Say what you need to say in the office, but then once we finish, it's over. Yeah.
I was looking at the 400 real estate transactions, and I think that having a partnership helps you get to that number because that's impressive. I was like, damn, that's a lot of number. How do you even get to that many closing tables? That's a lot.
We know people that have done way more. Single operators, 1,500 plus. Yeah. A guy younger than us.
In the same time span as us.
So we haven't done anything at all in our eyes.
Yeah, we haven't done much, really.
So let's talk about
let us be clear. That 400 includes wholesale deals, fix and flips, rental properties that we bought, and now the Airbnbs that we're buying.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I want to go in order because I want to make sure we address all those. Wholesaling, how did you guys get into that?
That was number one. Wholesaling was number one. So we heard an ad on the radio. I called him and I was like, because at the time I was, we had a cleaning company and I was getting ready to have my first daughter. And
so this is what really propelled us and helped us get the cleaning company on the market when he heard his ad on the radio.
Oh. So I was my girlfriend at the time was like, yo, I'm having this baby. And I'm like, God damn, like, we have a cleaning company. You know what it's like starting a business. You can't pay yourself all the time. You got to pay your employees. So I called him like, yo, this is not going to work. I heard this ad on the radio. Let's go see what it's about. So long story short, we go through this whole sales funnel. We got duped out of $55,000. And it was all on the credit card too. It wasn't our own money. Yeah, it was $55,000. It was, it was a complete scam, but I don't even want to go down that road. We ended up finding another mentor who was local that was referred to us by one of our friends. And he was like, look, my friend was like, look, man, this guy changed me and my wife's life. You guys should take his program. So his program was $15,000. Now, mind you, we just got duped out of $55,000.
Not even a month ago.
A month. It's like 20 days later. So we're sitting here, we're interviewing this guy figuring out, is this the guy we really want to be our mentor? We prayed about it. We felt as though God laid it on our heart to take that next step. And that guy's really changed our life. So year one, we started, he taught us how to wholesale. So we started doing these.
Hold on, just one thing for your audience. we betted on ourselves, and we invested $70,000 in ourselves before we ever did a deal.
All in credit too, not our own money.
$70,000. So it's crazy. We don't even sell courses, but it's crazy when I see people like, oh, a $500 course is too much. Like, $70,000. So like my brother was saying, year one, we focused exclusively on wholesale. Year two, we started doing primarily fix and flips. And that happened because we was trying to make $25,000 on a wholesale deal, and the guy who was trying to buy it from us, he only it worked out, but we were only going to make $22,000. So we're like, you know what? Forget this. We spoke with our mentor about it, and my mentor helped us remove all the fear that we have and all the excuses. We did that one fix and flip, so that started us on year two. So we started doing exclusively fix and flips on year two. Then year three, we started buying rentals, and then year four, we
started ground up development.
Yeah, started ground up development.
And now we're in year five.
And then in year five, it's like Airbnbs. So, and I don't want you to think like we just geniuses and we had this whole strategy where we want year 1, 2, 3, 4.
It was a progression.
It was a progression. It just happened naturally. So the whole point that I want to make to the audience is if you're putting hard work and action out to the universe will reward you what you need to have. Because we didn't map out that course. It just happened because we was out there working and grinding and making it happen. One thing led to another. It's like, okay, we're ready for this. Okay, we're ready for this. You master that. Okay, we're ready for that. So
I would ask you, what are some tips that are required to be a good wholesaler? Like, what allowed you guys to go from no money to making so much money that now you can start doing flips? What did that wholesale look like?
Number one is sourcing deals. I think to be a good wholesaler, you have to be able to source deals.
To be a great investor, you need to be able to source deals.
Correct.
Like all the way around.
You know what? Correct.
If you can source deals, your problem is solved because the money is the easiest part of this business. Yep. If you can source deals, and that's one thing that we learned in year one. If you source deals, you control everything. But in order to be a great wholesaler, to your question, like my brother said, number one is to be able to source deals. Number two, I think you have to be able to talk to people. Yeah.
You have to be able to talk to people, whether it's on the phone or in person. And I look back at when we first started, and it was just really getting on the phone and in the streets coming out of us, learning how to hustle, learning how to negotiate to get these deals under contract. Because to wholesale, you need to get it under contract at a discounted rate so that you can sell it to an investor and you make the spread, whether it's an investor that wants to fix it and flip it, or whether it's somebody that wants to keep it as a rental. And then number three. So number one is source deals. Number two is good, decent communication skills. And then number three, you need to be able to know how to analyze the deal. Oh, that's key.
You gotta know how to. Some of these people that's just like some of these new wholesalers, they are just screwing up everything. So I think if you can have those three things, you can be a good wholesaler.
Yeah. What I like about it is I believe that everybody should kind of start as a wholesaler. Because if you don't, then you're gonna be paying a lot of money out of pocket trying to get a deal. Whereas you can have all these transactions under your belt, which gives you the experience, which gives you the knowledge, which then allows you to have a stronger command of the project when you get older and you start doing the things you guys are doing now. But if you've just been buying deals from wholesalers like I have been doing, you're losing like the biggest part of the game. What did your marketing efforts look like though? Are you guys sending out are you buying lists, cold calling lists? Are you sending out emails, driving for dollars? What did that look like?
So when we first started, we were doing it all off the email list. So sending out offers to agents and calling them and say, hey, we sent you a cash offer. And they would tell us, screw off. And we were just following up. And I think what separates us from a lot of people is we understood, and my mentor taught us this, guys, if you want to make money in this business, you need to learn to follow up.
You want to make money in life.
Follow up with people. So we started off on the MLS, just calling agents, sending out offers. That first year we did like 22 or 23 deals.
You got deals off the MLS?
Yeah. Mind you now, this is 2016. So 2016, 2017 was still some great investor deals on the MLS, not as many as there are now. But then to his credit, he was like, yo, we got
hold on. First it was the MLS, and then the MLS got a little slow. And then we start getting free data. We literally just posted this on our Instagram the other day, where you can go onto a county's website, depending on where your county is, and you can get people that are about to go to the foreclosure and the tax deed sale.
Yeah.
Right.
So we would go create data and then go door knock and get deals that way. So first it was MLS, then we were door knocking, and it's like, man, I'm tired of door knocking. Like that's a lot of work.
And then you knocking on the person's door, and you know they may one time somebody put a gun on.
Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah. I'm used to it though. I'm the wild twin. So first it was MLS, then it was door knocking, and then we started doing online marketing. We started doing online marketing for a lot of people in the real estate game because, you know, at that time, thankfully, I understood that everything was going and shifting online. So that's really what the bulk of our business is right now, primarily online. We do a little bit of cold calling, but we do most of our business online.
So an offer on the MLS. And I think sometimes people think that like the ask price has to be like the number that like makes sense that you want to offer at, like, okay, well, whatever. So let's say the house is listed for 200 grand. You look at the house. What do you do next? Do you look at like the same exact thing? You look at the ARV, you look at the amount of repair needed, less the profit spread, and that's the number you're offering.
So when we were doing it, that's kind of how we started. So let's say, for instance, they listed it for 200, but you look at the comps, it was worth 250, 270. And at the time we started understanding how to look at a house, how much construction was going to be. So we was able to base their offer off of that, send that offer in. And it's rare that the first time we sent out an offer, it got accepted. Like we had to follow up maybe 8 to 12 times before that offer, like 8 to 12 times, 3 months late, 2 to 3 months later before that offer got accepted.
Mind you, this was a couple years ago. Like now, like we know people that crush wholesaling off the MLS, and I don't know how they do it, but right now it's tough to do it if you're like a newbie. I'm not saying it's not possible because anything is possible, but it's kind of tough now when the market is where it is right now.
But yeah, to answer the question, it was just simply looking at the numbers, because for us, that's one key on how you win in business is data. Look at the numbers. Let the numbers do the speaking. I don't care what area it is. I don't care if it's gentrifying. No, what does the number say? And whatever the number said, that's what we did. We sent the offer at the number that will make sense for us, where we know we can make money on it, get it under contract. 9 times out of 10, we already had a buyer for it. And then we'll sell it at that price and make our $15,000, $20,000 profit.
Did we answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Man, so when you guys are doing your flips, same process? Are you guys going direct to the seller and putting in offers that way, or are you just kind of like working with wholesalers now?
We buy from any and everybody. So we buy direct from sellers, we buy from wholesalers. So anybody that has a deal, we'll buy from them. I don't care if we're buying from a wholesaler. I know guys that hate buying from wholesalers, but if the numbers work, the numbers work.
And I don't care how much the wholesaler makes. That's like I've spoken to a few people and they're like, oh, he's making this much. Who cares? If the number works for you, the number works for you. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing out. Like, oh, the wholesaler's making all this money. Who cares? If it works at 200,000, buy the deal at 200,000, even if the wholesaler's making 100K. But yeah, we buy from direct to seller. Agents bring us deals. Yeah. We still buy with MLS a little bit. Wholesalers.
Yeah, and direct to seller as well.
Yeah. So those 4 ways.
Okay. So you guys mentioned ground up development. What how many projects have you guys done in that space? We've
done one and we have another one in the works. I like ground up development more than almost anything we've done. We haven't, like we have 3 Airbnbs and we are almost at the finish line and getting all of those up and ready to go. But out of everything, wholesale, fix and flip, rentals, I like ground up development. You know what you know your costs, you know everything. When you're fixing and flipping a property, the profit is gonna be 50,000. You open up this wall and they did some shop work plumbing and 50,000 profit. Now is what 30, whatever the number is. Well, as for ground up development, you buy the land for 100. You know what you bought the land for. You get your price per square foot from the GC, or if you're the GC yourself, you know your price per square foot. You build it, and everything is there. You know it's really no hidden cost in ground up development, unless the city is trying to be nasty to you.
Yeah.
We've done one project. We got another one in the works, and we're looking for more. It's just tough to find good deals down here in South Florida, good land deals.
And that's key. Like, we're looking for deals. I'm not looking. I know a lot of, when you see on Instagram people putting out fluff and saying, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that. No, we're buying deals. We need to make money. I'm in the business of making money. I'm not in the business of looking good for Instagram. So if the numbers don't work, I'm not going to do that deal. So we have to make money on every deal.
We've had to pass on a couple land deals that I really wanted, but my brother's I'm more emotional. My brother's more data driven, looking at the data. And we've had to pass on a few deals.
What makes for a good land deal?
It all depends on what it's zoned for, what you can put on it. So it's a bunch of different variables that go into that.
But for us, what we're building to keep. And this is not stuff that we're building to sell. We're building to keep. So we built the triplex. We're about to build another triplex. I got off the phone with a guy today where he's trying to potentially wholesale us a deal where we'd be able to put 30 units on it. So everything that we're building to keep. And for us, the one that we built, the return on is just like, I wish we could do this over and over and over again.
For financing on a ground up deal, what does that look like?
We can't talk from traditional terms. So for us, we're so blessed in the financing that we've got. And let me tell you how we got that though. When we first started fixing and flipping, we were giving our investors a return on their money. So we gave them 12 to 15% plus 2 points, and we gave them a piece of the back end profit. But for us, we understand relationships, and we understand that you get paid based off the value that you bring. So for us, we didn't have much value because we had never fixed and flipped the property. We had to show people we knew what we were doing. Right. So we built up a track record, and that 12 to 15% is now at 8 to 10%, and that 2 to 3 points is now at 1 to 2 points when we do our fix and flip deals, and it's 100% financing, and we're not making any monthly payments, which is unheard of. Yeah. But if you're a lender, one of my lenders, she made over 85,000 last year. If I make you 85,000 and it's all is essentially risk free, I kind of can dictate the terms. And one of our terms is we don't make any monthly payments. So for our ground development project, it's not even fair to say this is exactly how it works, because we had a lender that gave us 100% financing. But on this one, since it was a little bit more riskier and we were doing ground development, we had to make monthly interest payments. So if we've never done something, you would never hear us talk about something we've never done. So I've never gone to the bank and got money to finance a land up construction deal.
So it's mostly private money then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Every deal we buy with private money. Yeah. Every deal.
Yeah. It makes it so much easier for us.
It's like so 10 times easier. Because then you don't have to go through the hoops and hurdles that you go through at the bank. It's just like, I call you, hey Charles, I got this deal. Here's the numbers. Here's the return. Boom, boom, boom. Here's pictures. Send me the money.
Yeah. And so that's the part of the reason why you want to make sure you have a deal.
Oh yeah.
That's key. That's
the deal sells itself.
When you bring a deal to somebody, they cannot say no. I don't remember the last time an investor told us no from a deal that we bought them, because we're bringing them deals. I'm bringing you a house that's worth 500. We're picking it up at 320. I got to put 50 into it. That's a deal, Yeah.
Yeah. And you got the track record. So you got the track record and you got the numbers to prove it.
Yeah, that helps big time. The track record helps. It definitely helps.
But then, another thing though that's key and that we learned early on, we're not greedy. A lot of people are not. You won't be successful if you're greedy. So for us, I was willing to give up 50% of my profit to these investors
after paying them a return.
After giving them interest, 7% while the money's out, and you're taking 50% of the profit on the back end when we first started. Because we knew what the long-term goal was. I knew I needed that money. I'd rather say, hey, give me all the money and I don't have a money problem, and I'll do all the hard work. I'll do all the sweat equity. But now, 3 years later, I dictate those terms. I let you know, no, those terms don't work for us. Go ahead.
You said this is probably going to change the subject a little bit, but it's still kind of the same subject, because you said you were buying to keep, but you still using private money. So are you refinancing that, or what does that look like?
So yeah, we buy most of the rentals, almost all the rentals we purchase them at less than like 65% of the after repair value. Right. So we're buying very, very low. We are private investors. They give us all the money. We go in, we buy it, we do the rehab that's needed, and then we do a cash out refi.
Increase the rents.
And then we do a cash out refi at typically 70% of value.
Yeah.
Typically how we do our long-term rentals.
Cool. And then another thing that has been helping us is also as you see, the values will probably just keep going up.
Especially here in Miami, South Florida.
We bought a property last year in June for $193,000. At the time we bought it, it was worth, I think, like $350,000. We refinanced that property in December, and the value came back at $500,000. $500,000 in 6 months. And this is in the hood too. This is in the hood. So that is helping as well.
Big time.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And we don't want to say we that smart. The market is really on fire right now. It's helping a lot of people. But for us, we if I can share anything with the audience, just be conservative on how you run your numbers, because at some point what goes up must come down or must flatten at least. So just guys, just be careful, whoever's watching this, whoever's listening to this, and make sure that you are taking into account that we've been going up the roller coaster for a long time.
Yeah. Airbnb, before we wrap, you guys are also in Airbnb, but what made you guys want to go that route?
Data.
So we were never fans of Airbnb, but having the right circle and people that are doing it and they're doing it at a high level on one of our rentals, we probably cash flow we typically try to be at $400 per door per cash flow, net cash flow, like after all expenses, like everything. Luckily for us, we get a little bit higher than that on our rentals, but let's just say one of our rentals is throwing off $500 per unit per month. That same unit that my buddy is renting down the street, Airbnb, he's doing $7,000-8,000. Hold on, wake up! you got to smell the roses. Once we start realizing the real numbers behind it, our disdain and for Airbnb starting to say, you know what, we need to start looking at it a lot different.
But then, like you said, credit to some people in our network. We have one friend, he does high-end Airbnbs. He's charging $4,000 a night. Certain houses, he's ripping $100,000 a month. Yeah. That's gross. And he self-manages it, but still $100,000 a month from one house. Yeah.
So for us, it was just really looking at the numbers and realizing that we made a mistake. And I can't say that we made a mistake, because this was again, it goes back to my mentor when I didn't listen to that opportunity on the initial call. Luckily, he called me back. This was something where we've had so many deals slip through our fingers. I'm talking about stuff on the water. It's worth like $1 million. We getting it under contract for like $500,000-600,000. And they don't need that much work. That's the type of stuff that we sold that could be great Airbnbs. But obviously hindsight is 2020, and just knowing the mistakes that we made now, it's just like, you know what, we got to go hard and find these Airbnbs and stop missing out on this money.
Because think about it, I could 3 to 5x my cash flow as opposed to taking it down as a traditional rental. So it only makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. When you're doing these, are these like single family, multifamily, or these like apartments that you're kind of arbitraging? What does that look like?
So we don't believe in the arbitrage model. That's just our opinion. You can do arbitrage. I know people that's doing it, they're making money. I want to own the real estate, because a part of building generational wealth is the appreciation that you would get from the real estate. So that's
also controlling the asset, because imagine having an Airbnb, you sign a 2-year lease and it's going well. You're crushing it. Yeah. Any savvy business person can kind of catch on to what you're doing, or they may sell it, and that person that sells it may want to turn it into Airbnb because they know what's going on. So for us, we're not believers in arbitrage model. It works for people, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but just for us, now we don't do any arbitrage.
And to answer your question, the 3 that we have right now, they're all single family houses. We want to do the single family model, because again, I don't want to have to deal with the HOAs, the associations. We want to own the real estate. We want to own really everything about it. So,
and eventually, the long-term plan is to go out and find old apartment complexes or older small motels, hotels, and turn them to Airbnb properties.
I like it. That's smart. That's smart. That's smart.
Listen, I ain't that smart. It's just the numbers. It's the numbers. When you see the cash flow, that's all it is.
What are the laws like in Florida concerning Airbnb? Are there any restrictions? You have to get a license, or it's just like whatever goes?
So here in South Florida, and I just had my assistant do the research yesterday to see if we needed licenses or not. So from my understanding, and again, I don't speak on things that I don't know. She just got me the information today. I didn't look at it, but we have a company that we are vetting to potentially manage it for us. And they were saying here in Miami, the parts of Miami that we're in, you don't need a license, because there are certain parts of Miami where you need a license and you need a permit.
And I think
to operate.
In certain parts of Miami, they don't even allow it. Like,
Which, Miami Beach
right.
and South Beach don't allow Airbnb.
But also, I don't want to say this. The city, it's the city that we Second Avenue.
North Miami, yep.
North Miami. So it's a city that we purchased. We purchased the property, and we wanted to do Airbnb.
We was going to do Airbnb on it.
We were going to do Airbnb, and we purchased property last year, and then we didn't do our proper due diligence. And luckily for us, the numbers worked as a long-term rental, but we had purchased that for Airbnb, and we were thinking about still doing it. And we said, you know what? No, let's not do it, because that city is kind of tough. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So great conversation. I have a few wrap-up questions I'm going to ask you guys. The first question that I would ask you is, what is the biggest challenge you're facing in your business right now? And
working with this guy.
I just think the biggest thing is one is delegating. A lot of times, business owners because remember, we've never worked corporate, so there are some positive in working with corporate. So I think one thing that we struggle with is effectively delegating, and effectively training. So that's one thing my thought process is that we're struggling with in our business.
Our biggest challenge really is finding deals. The money is there. Like I said earlier, if you can source the deal, you can get the money. So I think our biggest challenge right now is sourcing more deals. We want to buy more real estate, but again, I'm not doing this to be Instagram famous. I'm doing this to make money and create like the real generational wealth. And the only way we do that in the real estate business is finding those deals, and it is tougher to find the deals that we've been used to over the last couple of years, used to buying. So that's our biggest challenge, and the way we're tackling that is just doing more marketing and getting smarter. Like spending more on marketing and making sure that our marketing is dialed in. So at one point, we were lazy business owners. We knew our numbers, but we didn't really know our numbers. Now we know our numbers. I know that if I generate 6 leads on my website, I'm going to convert 1. Like I know that to the T. So now it's just being more dialed in with our marketing, understanding the consumer and how they search online, and also also opening up, because we only used to do business in Florida, North Carolina. Now we're doing business nationwide to provide ourselves with more opportunities and to get a lower cost per lead.
Y'all should come to Detroit, man. Check us out.
You're not the first person to say that, but again, I don't understand the market, because I know one side of Detroit is better than the other side of Detroit. And one thing I don't like about Detroit is when it gets cold there, from what I hear, nobody likes to work. So here in Florida, from December to March, I have no problem. We have about maybe 10, 11 houses we're working on right now. Every house has a body in there getting work done. In Detroit, are your people really working? Are your plumbing pockets going to burst? So that's something that we take into consideration as we go into other markets. Because for us, we want to be able to just pick up our system that we have here. And I get it. Some things are different in other markets, but if I can pick up our system here and dump it into another market where we don't have to worry about it being cold and, things like that, I think that's key.
Yeah. So just so you understand, we wholesale nationwide, but then we do fix and flips all throughout the state of Florida and North Carolina. And all of our rentals and Airbnbs are in the state of Florida, but we are looking to buy multifamily across the United States.
Yeah. Dope. Who has been your most important professional mentor?
I would say for me, the guy who helped us start the cleaning company, he's put a lot of things into perspective. Like anytime we tell him something, he always comes from a not even constructive criticism but a big brother approach, and he challenges us on why are you doing that?
I think the most valuable lesson that he taught us was, guys, stop doing things for money and start doing things for passion. Things that you're passionate about, you'll make money from. So guys, every time we come to him with a new idea, a new venture, he was like, guys, it's not about the money. Like, are you passionate about it? If you're not passionate about it, you're not going to like it. So that means you're not going to give 100% effort. And then eventually we're going to do what we did with the cleaning company. Yeah. I think for me, let me see. He's one of them. And then I think the guy who helped us start in real estate as well, because we still call him often, not just for real estate advice, but also for personal as well. So those two for sure.
Yeah. So I think what's cool about that business selling story is it was so cool to hear like, hey, if you don't enjoy this business, sell it. And a lot of us, what we would do is just be miserable, running a business we hate.
Yeah. But it goes back to your circle. And obviously he was an investor, a mentor at the time, and he still is, but just really think about it. He had so much more to gain if we stayed in that company, because it was a perfect piece into the puzzle that he was building. Yep. Because all his businesses were in dental. He touched every facet of dental except the cleaning. But luckily for us, we had that great person in our lives that put us before he put us first, and he put himself and his wants after ours, and he said, God, sell the company. So it's a huge credit there, because we were, if he didn't say that, we probably would have still been miserable in that cleaning company to this day.
What is something in your industry that nobody agrees with you about? An opinion that you have that nobody agrees with you, if anything?
You can get 100% financing on your real estate deals.
Yeah.
You can get 100 because people don't believe it. And like I show HUDs, like we get money, most HUDs, we get money back at the closing table. We get 100% financing for these deals that we do. Because most guys, that you got a lender that'll lend you up to 90, maybe 95% of the purchase, and they'll give you 100% of the rehab funds. But we get 100% for the purchase price and 100% of the rehab money.
For about 95% of our deals. Like it's a 5% if the deal is risky, but that's rare. So
what is a tool that's indispensable to your business? Like you couldn't do without it?
I think people. I'm really starting to see the importance of when you trying to grow and scale, you need good damn people.
You need great people.
Yeah, great people.
The team with Jack Welch said it the best. The team with the best players wins.
I think people, man.
And that's one thing that we're finally understanding. Like you can do so much more if you can multiply yourself with high level people that can do things better than you can. So people, and then, but what's a tool that we use like all the time? I would say one tool. I wouldn't say we can't live without it, but one tool that has really helped us, and it's not necessarily a tool. We hired a fractional CFO, game changer for us, helping us really look at numbers and do financial analysis and to really break down data and budgets and projections and all kind of stuff that we really had no understanding of. So I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that's a tool, but that's one thing that just really helped us a lot in our business to really see things different.
That's dope. Last question is, what does wealth mean to you?
Well, what does wealth mean to me? That's a good
question. Wealth to me means ultimate freedom and perpetuity, meaning that I do whatever I want to do when I want to do it, however I want to do it.
I would agree with that as well. Wealth means freedom,
perpetuity.
Because I do what I do for freedom. I don't care about the money. It's for the freedom. I want to be able to move how I want, travel how I want, go where I want, when I want. There's no planning involved. Nobody telling me what to do, when to do it, or how to do it. So now I can agree 100%. Wealth means freedom.
Freedom and perpetuity.
Yeah. I've been noticing that word coming out a lot. I'm very big on the word freedom. And you don't really realize that you weren't free until you get free.
Yeah.
And then you're like, bruh, like they had me under their thumb. I couldn't do nothing. And then you get out here, your day starts to be your own. You own your own 24 hours and you really start to see like that's what it was. It was just financial freedom, like the real freedom.
But even there are business owners that don't really have freedom. They're a slave to their business, and that's what
we're coming out of that.
And we're coming out of that, and that's why I'm saying wealth is really freedom, because we're coming out of that. Because at one point, like my brother said, we're not the best delegators, and now we're realizing that the freedom that we want to have, because we sat down thankful to one of our mentors. Everybody knows what they want. Like everybody knows, I want a Lamborghini, I want 100 million in the bank, I want a mansion on the beach. But when do we ever sit down and think about what we don't want? Once he changed that question, like, guys, what don't you want? And one of the things I don't want to do is I don't want to miss any of my daughter's gymnastic practices. I need to leave this office by a certain time so I can get to her practice. So when I decide what I don't want, I can build my life around that. Now I want to be free to be able to go, and nobody calls me after 6 o'clock because my daughter is on just doing her little ballet dance or whatever she's doing. And that's when that's really what it is. So freedom.
Awesome. So where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they support what you have going on?
Instagram is the best place, at MathisTwins, MathisTwins, MathisTwins. That's our handle on Instagram. We respond to every DM. That's the best place to get in contact with us.
And they're gonna have some content coming soon for you guys to participate in. So the courses, the masterminds, all that stuff is coming to you. These brothers got a ton of information, and the world's going to be made better with your product. So I wouldn't even see it as though you're taking anything from anybody. You're really just giving them something, because you guys got a ton of value, a ton of game. The grounded development is next level. The flips next level. Everything you guys are doing is what a lot of people want to do. You guys have mastered it in the way that you have mastered it. And that's truly valuable. So outside of the money, we're doing it for the purpose.
Yep.
This episode is already live on YouTube, but it will be live on the actual podcast in a few days. Make sure you guys follow what they have going on. Make sure you guys send them a DM, let them know that you heard the story, you heard their show, and that you like the show, and let them know what you learned from the show. And we're going to continue to bring you dope guests, dope content. Man, we're loading up the pipeline, just a powerful people. We back. We had to take a little bit of time off, but we're back bringing you guys some powerful interviews, and we're going to continue to do what we always do. My name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Top Millionaire.